Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Iron Will Collective. Welcome back to another gripping, enthralling episode of our Iron Will Collective podcast, of which you, dear listener, are as much a member of. Although you're not here in the flesh, we appreciate your ears listening on the other side. Today, we're coming at you with some more fantastic info. Things that you've only wished you ever knew the answers to. Things that keep you up at night, hiding under your bed. Things that sometimes smell bad, but if you look at it in the right angle, looks great. Things like form. So, thanks for joining.
I just wanted to do something somehow pretending I was in a news helicopter, but I ruined that now.
Well, you're still in a news helicopter, man, so I don't know. What are you going to do? Why are you in a copter?
I don't know if I'd want to ride in a helicopter. I mean, I think it might be a cool experience, but, you know, I don't know. It's scary at the same time.
Dude, I'd love to ride in a helicopter. I'm like, did you ever watch Cars?
Oh, a long time ago.
Larry the Cable Guy, Mater, he's like,
Yeah.
got one of them fancy helicopters?
I don't remember that part.
Well, that's me.
Well, all I know for a fact is that the only way that you're probably ever going to get to ride in a helicopter is if you get rich or you join the army. So, in Vietnam. So, Vietnam era army. But anyway.
Yeah, well, since none of those are happening.
Well, we do have a war, and it's for your mind. David Icke, block us.
Yeah. Dude, if you mention the DI, we're gonna get clipped.
Direct injection.
And there you go. DI's been mentioned. The unmentionables. So, okay. I only recently started getting into David Icke, and it seems like, well, you're a little more frequent browser of the conspiracy forums on Reddit. And do you go anywhere else, or is it mostly Reddit?
No, mostly just Reddit, but I wouldn't say I'm very well versed on David Icke. I know who he is and stuff, but I'm like...
How did you hear about him originally? Was it through the conspiracy forum?
Not that one, but just like I've been into conspiracy stuff for a while. So
it goes way back.
Yeah. So, you know, you hear things from people and fun stories, just like that one night when you were at the coffee shop and the guy was talking to you about the lizards.
Yeah, the reptilian beings.
Yep.
Of which we come from. How Hitler was a reptilian being.
Hitler is in South America right now. He's still alive.
Yeah, he's
like 120.
Probably looks like a wrinkly, like Aryan raisin or something. Like one of those golden raisins that they make.
Oh, you're making me hungry now. That's like a craisin.
Craisin? Oh, yeah. That's not even a raisin.
I know. Well, yeah, it is. It's a dried cranberry.
Right.
I think.
Okay, what makes them so small? Like, do they start that small?
I think cranberries are smaller than grapes.
No, I mean like raisins in general.
Oh.
The other day I ate some grapes and they were like the size of eyeballs.
They're plump, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe you take a certain type of grape. I don't know. I like raisins. I didn't used to like raisins, but now I like raisins. They're
I like
sweet
them too. They're the poor man's snack of choice, you know.
Trail mix. Throw them in that trail mix.
Dude, my trail mix is just raisins. Like, it's sticky and amazing. That's awesome.
That's good energy for if you're out and about. Get those carbohydrates in.
Yeah.
Trail mix was designed actually in the 1930s by Sherlock Holmes to fuel his search parties when they're out in the wilderness looking for bodies.
Oh, man. That explains so much.
Yep.
That explains so much. That's why I've always felt that way when I'm out searching for bodies and I'm eating trail mix. I'm like, I feel like Sherlock Holmes right now.
You know what? Anytime I get the chance, I'm joining up with a search party because it's a great way to get exercise. And now, just a little tangent is that since gyms are still closed, go out and join a search party if you want to get some exercise. Lots of people. You're doing some good work for the community.
Yeah.
You might find a body, but, you know, a little trauma never hurt anybody's brain.
Comes with the territory.
Yep.
Look, if you're out there, you might be wondering, what are we even searching for? Look, I'm here to tell you, it's not about the destination, man. It's about the journey.
It's about the voyage.
Yeah, the voyage.
Yep. It's all about what word you say to describe the journey now, okay? You could call it the journey and just be like that regular old shoe store in the mall. Or you can call it the voyage. And that completely changes.
What about the trek?
Trek is pretty cool too. Like Star
Excursion?
Trek. Yeah, I actually have this one friend who got this Star Trek shirt from Disneyland for $40 for a t-shirt.
$40?
Yeah, and it was too small for him, but he wears it anyways.
Wow. Well, I mean,
He looks good. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, dude, you got ripped off.
for $40, you should be framing that thing.
Yeah, seriously, not letting it get all faded and
I wouldn't
sweaty.
even look at it. Jeez, I'd probably smell it from time to time to remind myself like the smell of wealth that I let slip through my hands. But you know, that's just every now and again.
Consider reselling on eBay.
Yeah, like make an account and you know, hopefully you can make half your money back.
Yep. I mean, this person in particular, he mentioned to us how fond he was that we talk about him so much on the podcast. But he's just a real special guy. He's gonna be an anime fighter, you know.
Yeah. Anime fighter, just like Chun-Li. You know, she has some thick legs, and I think that is an appropriate comparison there because he's got the thickest. He's like the what was that, Quadzilla? You came up with a good one.
Gilbert Quadfried.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, son of Quad.
Yeah, this guy's yoked to say the least.
Yeah,
But we respect him, we fear him, but we don't like him.
yeah, dude, the fear runs real deep. You know,
So you mentioned earlier it got buried in the dust up of the initial conversation.
Yeah.
That you wanted to talk about form. Why is that?
Yeah. So okay,
Why does form matter at all?
intro was a little stream of consciousness right there, but the underlying point that I wanted to drive home was the fact that today we're gathered here to talk about our Lord and Savior, which is proper technique and form. It's one of the most...
I thought it was the son of Quad, Jesus Christ.
You don't get the son of Quad without form and technique.
Okay.
It's they go hand in hand. So form is important for many reasons. Now that's just another way of saying we could talk about this for a really long time. I mean, when it comes to the benefits of form, a lot of the reasons are obvious. So we'll state them briefly. Now, obviously, you lower and reduce your risk of injury when you concentrate and study form or technique on any of the given lifts. Now, I don't want to generalize here and say that there's only one way to do any kind of lift. So we'll have to make that clear right up front here.
There's probably like some better ways to do it for your body type in particular. That's how you could put it, is because everybody's shaped differently.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into account when trying to develop form, especially on more complicated exercises such as your squat, your bench, your deadlift.
Takes trial and error. It takes quite a bit of time before you get to a point where you know that you're moving efficiently. I mean, I was a high bar squatter for a long time, and I don't doubt that at some point in the future I might go back to doing high bar squats. But as soon as I made the change and experimented with low bar, I felt much more comfortable. And I kind of attribute that to it just being more suitable to my unique anatomical structure.
But they're different, so that is something to really consider too, is because if you're doing low bar squat, that's just involving a lot more posterior chain.
Right.
Sharing the piece of the pie that if you're doing high bar, the quads would be eaten up. The quad father. So it's really different, I'd say. Like, I think that's more comparing apples to oranges than saying, like, if you were to switch your form still, because, like, it's like you switch exercises.
Yeah. Well, it'd be like doing close grip versus conventional bench press.
Yeah, it changes the game up.
You're right.
So, where with a conventional bench press, you're getting a lot more pecs involved. Close grip, you're taking a lot of that onus off of the pecs, putting it on the triceps.
Right.
So, I gotta say, first of all, you gotta see John squat. It is beastly. Second of all, I'm never squatting again.
Dude, squats are awful. We just finished a workout a few hours ago, because that's how the workouts have been going lately, a couple hours long. Just brutality. And for a moment there, I really thought I was going to either vomit or pass out lightly for just a little bit. And it was good. It's good.
Yep.
Hopefully never have to squat again.
Yep. I know a guy who back when he was in high school, he used to throw up after every workout.
Damn.
He wears it like a badge of honor, the puke stain.
Wow.
So
Is that his name?
It is. I'd rather not say his name just to keep anonymity.
Goes by many names.
He does go by many names, so it'd be hard to keep track even if I tried. So,
well, it's cool because you can just choose whatever name. But I think
apparently you
puke stain-
can, and then apparently you can forget what your name actually is.
That
That's
happens.
okay.
That happens.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you have to be a real backwoods son of a gun.
You're a real Buford, if you know what I mean.
Again, respect you, fear you,
Oh yeah.
and
Please teach us how to be obese and beast.
at the same time. Damn. Well, yeah, it was a crazy workout today, but I think the most important thing then when it comes to form is going to be just knowing what not to do. I think that should come, if not before, at least come with learning what to do.
So
It's been more helpful for me in any case. So
I think it's also important to build yourself up to certain exercises with a dedicated progression. So don't just hop in your first day in the weight room trying to do a barbell back squat. You're going to need to practice with some simpler movements in the squat pattern to begin with, like, because it's tough. It really is, and it takes people a long time to really get proficient with it. And that is understandable, because if you want to get good at something, you're going to have to do it over and over. Just like if you want to become a good poet, you're going to have to write poems all the time. You're not going to be able to focus any of your skill on becoming a better poet if you're busy writing all these hip hops all the time.
yeah, wow, there's like no carryover there.
None at all.
That's like practicing, I don't know, chopping vegetables, thinking you're going to get better at your squat. It's just like,
Well, you might if you
What?
eat the vegetables after.
no, but they're not to eat. They're just to
Just
chop.
just practicing slap chop.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, really do think, though, that should be the first thing that you should consider, is mastering form on simpler exercises and graduating yourself up as you get stronger and you develop the skills needed to move your body this way. Because to hop in and expect yourself to be able to do it first time, it's asking a lot.
That's a really lofty expectation. And I'd say it's especially more important, it's more crucial that you focus on working your way up if you don't have the help or guidance of somebody who already knows what the movement should look like, or can give you cues that you can understand. So I remember my first time trying to do RDLs at LA Fitness. Man,
They're a lot harder to learn than you would expect just after you see someone, or you have it written on your program, or you need deadlifts. Okay, I look it up on my phone and I see someone doing it. The difference between that and either having someone there to like tell you what you should be feeling and how to do it correctly, it could be the difference in you spinning your wheels for a while. Because I have a similar story with the RDLs, is that I did do them half-ass and correctly for a while before someone, luckily at the gym I was going to, said, hey, look, like, here's a better way that you can do that. And then they let me know, like, you're going to want to feel like a real tight stretch in your hamstrings. And I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't feeling that at all before. So what you know is going to really influence this as well. But I can also think back to when I first started working out. The only exercises that I really knew were like the really popular ones, and the regressed versions of these are not ones that people are talking about on the magazines or on your popular fitness channels or whatever. For the most part, these are things that you're going to need to dig a little bit deeper and find it through someone who's actually trained people before. And or like physical therapists. They have a lot of great ways to help people that are starting from like a negative physical fitness level in order to get them up. Like super simple stuff like a plank on your knees or something like that. Like not even moving, just like there's basically just a long way to the ceiling of what you can do.
It's interesting though, because when you have a deeper understanding of the human anatomy, then you're able to kind of look at these moves, these exercises, and stop seeing them so much as that specific exercise and see it more as a movement pattern. So then you can adjust and manipulate the way the body's positioned, but ultimately achieve the same type of stress on similar muscle groups. So I remember thinking, my God, I don't know why this realization took so long to come to me, but the bench press and the push-up are very similar. So I was early on into my lifting career, and I thought of them as two different exercises that work similar muscle groups, but I didn't really understand why. And it's such an obvious connection, except for one, you're pushing the ground down, you know, gravity is on your back pushing you down, and the other one you're pushing against gravity. Well, what am I trying to say here?
Well, yeah, you're pushing the weight up. The weight is resisted by gravity, and the other one, you are the weight. So you have to fight your own body weight on the way up.
Yeah. And so similarly, like you can have row movements where you're bent over and you're lifting the weight off the floor and pulling your elbows back, or something like an inverted row where your back is on the floor and you're pulling yourself up. Very similar movement patterns, the same exact thing actually.
The
different exercise.
Similarity is that you are pulling your elbows behind your body. With that one, it doesn't matter if it is you facing the floor or you facing the ceiling.
So
still getting the same.
Well, once you understand that it's like the same movement pattern, I think from there you can figure out what kind of similarities these have as far as form goes, and then be able to standardize your approach across the board. And so you start moving very similarly despite different exercises. So I don't know, something like a leg press, or well, actually a better example would be a straight bar deadlift and a trap bar deadlift. They are different, but you understand that they're similar enough to where you treat it like it's pretty much the same thing as far as setup goes, or you know where you're supposed to feel it and what muscle should be working.
Well, again, with the trap bar deadlift and the straight bar deadlift, those are actually quite different in my opinion in the way they feel. Because the trap bar deadlift, definitely you can feel it a lot more in your quads than you can with a straight bar deadlift. So while you still are doing the hip hinge and everything like that,
Yeah.
I think the trap bar deadlift you could compare with like the leg press and how it feels.
Yeah. But with the leg press, I'm not focusing on like my back being straight, or
The chair takes care of that for you.
yeah, or you know, the distance between my feet.
I mean, you should be, because on the leg press you can place your feet super far apart and it'll give you a different feel than if you put them right together.
Yeah,
I remember this because a couple of years ago I had this good buddy who made me do some leg presses supersetted with some squats, and I had a headache for a whole week after. And I want to say one of those leg presses were like
foot positioning,
close feet.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right. It has a huge effect, and I'm just making a point here very poorly. But what I mean is, on a deadlift, it's a lot more important to take note of where your feet are, because that has a huge effect on the muscles that are going to be working. For example, the difference between a sumo and just a conventional deadlift. So you want to make sure that your feet are about hip width apart, not too far out for the conventional deadlift. And same with a trap bar deadlift, you're not going to be going sumo stance. So
I mean,
at least for me,
you physically can't.
Yeah, no.
Trap bar.
And you wouldn't want to have your feet too far outside of hip width. So that's where the similarity is, in my opinion. And then from there, you focus on a similar movement pattern in that as you lower, it's a hip hinge until the bar reaches just about where your kneecaps are, and then you start breaking at the knee, at which point it starts turning more into something similar to a leg press. So different phases of the lift, but there are commonalities. And so I like to think of that pattern, you know, like I'd say that the lowering part of an RDL is similar to a trap bar deadlift as well, because what you've got going is a really sturdy torso as your butt starts to go back, as you load tension into the hamstrings, and then as soon as the bar reaches about knee level, maybe just below, is when you'll start breaking.
You just drop it.
You drop, yep, and go vomit.
Well, that leads me to a good question for you. Is if, say, I have never set foot in a gym before, never lifted weights before, and I was wanting to partake in a barbell lifting routine, what exercise would be a good place to start for someone who is, completely unconditioned to do so? What would be the best exercise to start with if I wanted to be on my road to conventional deadlifting, in your opinion?
Prone iso abs. Duh. No.
I mean, that wouldn't be bad because
It wouldn't.
Because generally, people who haven't exercised before, people who, if you are quite sedentary, especially, you're gonna lack core strength.
Weak
And that's gonna be
abs.
one of the first places that I think core and glutes are a couple of the first places that pretty much anybody that has never lifted weights before or rarely exercises, you can pretty much guarantee that those two muscle groups are going to be weak.
Oh yeah, which is why something like the deadlift is such a great lift for beginners. As technical as it may be, and it's worth every penny that you devote towards improving.
Gotta buy
your
that
form.
barbell.
Yeah, Rogue fitness for life. So I would start them. I mean, you're right. Prone iso abs or plank for the uninitiated is a good place to start because you're going to need to learn how to brace. But apart from that, what I've found in my experience is not everybody can quickly grasp the concept of a good hip hinge.
I agree.
I'm a big proponent of just PVC practice until the movement looks about right. If not, maybe some light dumbbells, because it's important that you can understand what it should feel like at the bottom. I think that's the most important part. From there, you'll start to work on the other portions of the lift. But if you can feel tension through your hamstrings and then know how to get out of that without arching your back or rolling your spine up one vertebrae at a time, then I think you're ready for the barbell.
I've got another one that would be a great one to start with, and that is just a floor glute bridge.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that I've used with people who have struggled to grasp the hip hinge, to start them off with that. So you can just get right to just focusing on working that posterior chain, develop some strength and coordination needed to control the eventual deadlift.
Yeah. No, that's a really good one. I mean, all in all.
Because, I mean, that one's like a super easy one. That one's like prone iso abs, then glute bridge.
It's even better than prone, or not better. I think it's easier than prone iso abs. I mean, it might burn, but
I mean,
plank is a special kind of burn.
Yeah, like with planks, at least there's no movement, so that like anybody can hold a plank for at least a few seconds.
Yeah.
But depending on your disposition, a glute bridge might be more difficult. But I agree with what you're saying. Is that if you're planking for a long amount of time and you're doing it right, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be significantly more difficult than a rep range of glute bridges that would be useful for a beginner.
Yeah.
Probably it's not going to be killing you.
Right. No.
But you can still get a lot out of it, depending on how you use tempo and whatnot.
Exactly.
Or weight.
Hold at the top.
Too. Yeah.
You could even switch it up and do like a single leg variation.
But see, these are ways that you can graduate yourself up, and once you master 2-leg glute bridge, go up to 1 leg, go up to like a foot elevated glute bridge. And once these are all pretty easy, then you're probably going to be in a good place to start learning the hip hinge if you struggled with it before.
Yeah. I remember the first time I tried to do RDLs back at LA Fitness, I had been reading about it and reading about how awesome deadlifts were at building the posterior chain. It's like a full body exercise, covers almost every muscle in your back. Your backside, so upper back, mid, lower, legs, glutes. I mean, pretty much everything but your toes, man. So I was really eager to get going on deadlifts, but I just couldn't wrap my head around the explanations or the videos, and I tried to recreate what I saw, but I didn't think I had it just right. Then I got scared because all those things I was reading also came with the warning, which, I think is a good thing. they warned against improper technique leading to significant back pain. And I thought, oh man, I don't want back pain. I better do these right. It wasn't coming out very good, so I put it on the back burner, and somehow or another, I think I just came back to it, and things had started to click. I had more awareness of my body, and I understood more what it should have felt, what it was supposed to feel like. So, especially, like I said, it's all about that stretch for me, and that was something that I think couldn't grasp at first. Key.
And I feel like over the time I've been able to have a better way of explaining this to help people. And to put it simply is that you're going to want to start with your knees just outside of full lockout. So just like you'd regularly stand, you're not going to be standing with your knees like nearly hyperextended, of course.
Yeah.
But then you're not going to want to bend your knees at all after that. And then lower the bar while keeping your chest up and forward, while sticking your butt back, and then if you do this correctly, you will inevitably get that stretch in the hamstring is what you're looking for.
Yeah, I know that manual cues really help a lot too for a lot of people. So just having somebody who's experienced, whether it's a trainer or a lifting buddy or I don't know, whoever, as long as they know what it's supposed to look like and they've done it themselves, then they can kind of put hands on you and help you get into position.
Yep, then, or something else, you could put like a band around your waist, have someone pull it, kind of give you the feel of the direction that your butt should be headed.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's really resembles that pelvic thrust dance. So just everybody knows that dance.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like, hey, you got to do the pelvic thrust dance.
Butt back, and then you're thrusting, baby.
Yep.
So, okay, my question is, why even bother with all these things? Like, why not just grab the bar and start?
Well, you could, but I think based on my experience of trying to do things that way, like starting with just the lifts, the basic lifts, you could save yourself some time in fighting these lifts if you focus on a little bit of preparation leading up to that. So, Jeff Cavalier for After Your Neck said, you don't want to build a house on a crumbling foundation. So I know you've said that before too, is like in the laying bricks analogy and whatnot, you're building this house, you want it to be strong from the bottom up. So spend some time, do the small stuff. It might be boring. You might not be as excited to get into it as you originally thought when you're like, I'm going to be weightlifting. I'm going to bench press today.
Yeah.
I bench pressed before. I'm going to kill it. I'm bench pressing 95 pounds here today. I am fucking getting strong.
Frick your shoulders up.
Yeah, like, first of all, this super complicated lift, even if it doesn't seem like it when you're first starting out, almost everybody starting out, unless you're some sort of genetic beast who just like has the motor development of like a 30-year-old lifter or something like that.
Yeah, if you were like a championship powerlifter in your past life and somehow...
Which, yeah, there's probably people out there like that, honestly. The people like these 17-year-olds that you see like breaking strength records and stuff like that, they've probably come into it with a decent disposition. But for most everybody else, you're going to have to work for this stuff, and that's okay. Yeah, spend the time, and it'll be worth it, I promise.
Dude, I don't want to say especially for the bench press or especially for any of the exercises, because it's equally true for all of them, especially the compounds. But man, bench press was another one that took me quite a long time to get the hang of. I mean, it seems intuitive enough to the point
you're pushing
where
this bar up off your chest, but there's far more to it than that.
Oh man, again, LA Fitness, back at the playground, just hanging out, watching everybody else do their workouts and thinking, okay, I could do that. Wait till this guy gets off the bench, hop on. I'll just do exactly what he did. Start with the bar, and since I've never bench pressed before, maybe I'll see how much I could do. Man, you can get away with that to an extent, but once you start pushing anywhere near just higher loads that would require a lot more exertion, especially if you're moving ineffectively, then you're going to eventually lead yourself to injury, which I did.
And it can be discouraging, honestly, when you first start, when you're not lifting much weight, when you look at other people. But get that out of your head, because it doesn't matter. Yeah. You'll be where you earned in a few years' time. Like, that's the thing. You got to earn it. You have to know that you can't just hop into the gym and even throw a plate on.
No.
Like people who can do that probably got some farm strength or something like that. But I know for me, yeah, it's starting with the bar, and you're gonna rep the bar out, and it's gonna hurt after a while. But then guess what? Next time you go, you're gonna be stronger, and that's the magic of the newbie gains. So I think a way to maximize that again is to start smaller, start easier, start with your push-ups, master the push-ups before, like at least be able to hit like sets of 10 of push-ups before you even get under the bar. Like give yourself a head start.
With good form though.
Yes.
Because that's another thing. I mean,
But
even if it's a body weight exercise,
hump the ground.
will also help with your hip thrusts.
Yep.
Just hump the ground.
And that sex appeal.
Yeah.
All the chicks watching you doing your hump the ground push-ups in the gym.
Like, is that a
you're
cobra?
guaranteed to get at least a few numbers.
Oh no, that's
It's like,
KG.
no, it's Python.
Dude, people respect you when you have the moves like that.
They fear you, they respect you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sometimes my ass falls asleep sitting here and doing this podcast, and I really like it. It reminds me of good times.
Yep. So that's just a side note. That is a microcosm of the havoc that can be wreaked on your butt if you're someone who sits down all day long because of your job or whatever. Like, man, it gets uncomfortable for me just after like a little while of sitting. Like if you're on a long car trip or whatever, everybody knows this again. You get out of the car and it feels great to stand up.
Yeah.
And stretch out. So
Dude,
great way to get
students,
weak glutes to sit all day long.
Yeah, well, okay. Right now, I was wondering a couple of days ago because I saw somebody who's just sitting down all day long, and I thought, wow, why not just get up? Why not move? Like, yeah, they'll move a little bit, maybe to get some food, but for the most part, just sitting all day long.
Is this Anya?
Yeah, she does nothing. She just snores and drools. This is like my dad. But no, and so I thought, like, dang, it's a habit, of course, to sit that long. So you get into the habit, and maybe you get really good at it. You build it up like a skill. Like you can just tune out the ass pain that you have on a pretty regular basis, and you get up and struggle to do a couple of steps, shake it out, get blood flow back into the glutes, and over time, what's going on is you are losing the ability to function normally. And so that leads to compensations. And you're going to have issues down the line, whether it's back pain
LBP.
or just, yeah.
Give me that. Give me
big
2
old
LBPs, please.
But it's so gradual, man. So a lot of people just kind of let it go by the wayside.
That's how life happens. Life doesn't just snap and slap you in the face one day.
It should.
Actually, it does. But actually, it doesn't. We don't know how things started in the womb. You don't just appear as a fully developed infant. You got that's just like things develop over time.
Yeah.
And life happens over time.
Yeah. So I guess it's easy in that way to kind of just forget or not know what you don't know. Again, just be ignorant to the fact that, yeah, you're sitting down all day and nothing good is going to come from that, at least for your body.
That's what we're here for, is to warn you of the dangers of neglecting your body and neglecting your health. Because even we don't know any of you, like you Guam people, we don't know any of you, but we do know that this is a universal human thing. Mm-hmm. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. And so that actually just reminded me of another good point that we should talk about is a well-rounded program, because I think that it's all too common that people focus on the money lifts, so things that will help them aesthetically, like the bench press, maybe some lat pull downs or bicep curls or something like that, but very rarely hitting the legs or very rarely hitting any kind of horizontal pull that is going to benefit and balance muscular tension throughout the body.
So you gotta sort out 2 things. Number 1, what do you want to accomplish through exercise? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to get muscles? Do you want a particular look? Mm-hmm. And also, what does your body need? This needs to be just as important as what you want. is addressing any issues that will stand in the way of you achieving what you want. Of course, you're going to want to hit these with priority. So, and that's something that, again, like I didn't do when I first started working out, is I just did what you just find something and you do it. Like find a program online and say, hey, like there's this one I remember, I just found like I type into the computer or whatever, I want to work out 5 days a week, give me a 5-day split, and then just look at them until you see one that has, you know, the equipment available that you have, and pick it. Even if that was written by someone who has completely different goals in mind, who had a completely different thought process when doing it, you hop on and do it. But it would be a better idea is if you invested possibly either time of your own into educating yourself on the subject in order to kind of self-diagnose some of these issues that you may experience, such as posture issues or pain issues that you might have. Or you could invest a little bit of money into paying someone to help to guide you through it. And these would be one of those two is a must when you start out, if you want to get off on the best possible foot.
I think if you can establish some form of baseline in terms of posture and see whether you hit the mark or not. If you don't, then you know that you need to correct some things, so then that way you can reach that point. And then from there, you can really start to build on your foundation. Because if you go in with bad posture, chances are, if your plan doesn't address that postural issue, then you're probably just going to make it worse, which...
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's going to be so cool. They're going to be like, yo, Quasi! You see, you've been hitting that lift.
Quadzimoto?
The one guy that didn't skip leg day.
Yeah.
See, he's got that low bar squat posture, but like always.
Yep.
He's just like, oh yeah. Oh. See, the lever arm is shorter this way. Dude, once you establish baseline, then you can build from there. But also, I think, at least in my opinion here, being as well-rounded as possible. I don't see there being much, if any, benefit to excluding any body part. I mean, if you're a power lifter, somebody with a very specific goal, then the odds are you have already been pretty, you've put in a lot of reps, or you plan on putting a lot of reps with some basic fundamental movement patterns here.
But we're not talking to powerlifters. We can throw all the athletes out the window here, because they should already know this stuff. And if they don't already know this stuff, they're fucked.
Yeah.
So we want to help people who have no idea where to start.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you'll become a power lifter one day, or maybe you'll just end up making a better life for yourself because of that you're feeling better every day because you have addressed the problems with your body.
Yeah. Yeah. So being well-rounded, there's no downside to it. I mean, maybe there's a downside emotionally because you want to bitch out of doing some tough lifts like squats earlier. But the thing is, we still get them done, because without that, I mean, you're missing a critical and very big part of your training program. And it wouldn't be too long before you started to have shortcomings elsewhere. I mean,
no one should have any excuses on why not to train with a well-rounded approach too, because there's so many different exercise options for all the muscle groups.
Yeah. Well, let's say you're injured or you hurt, your low back hurts, and so therefore you don't want to do any leg exercises.
Well, it's time to fix that shit.
Fix that shit and then get back to the leg exercises, or see what you can do in the meantime that doesn't aggravate the issue. And the way to do that is maybe getting creative. You can look towards somebody who's already done the hard work and thought of alternative exercises. The worst thing you can do is try it, see if it works. If it doesn't, then move on. If it does, then good for you.
Well, you're going to have to try it. The worst thing is the inevitable thing, is that nothing that you see online, nothing that you get from a trainer even, is going to be like foolproof, like first thing that you're going to try is going to work. Like this is all about experimentation, seeing it's science. It's the scientific method you need to take. You need to have your theory ready.
Test it.
test it, and then assess whether or not you got the
reevaluate.
desired results. And then you might have to go back to the drawing board, or you might have found something that will work for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the excuse killer right there. Like there should not be any excuses. If something hurts, you might have a valid excuse to take the day off from lifting, or maybe even a week off from lifting, but as soon as possible, which is typically a lot sooner than a lot of people would like to think, you get back to doing something, because something's always better than nothing. So whether it be light movement or something, which I'd say this is preferable, something more tailored to your unique situation, testing the different things and options that you have available to you, seeing what works. I mean, don't be shy about it.
Yeah. And be humble too, because say you do have like some sort of posture problem or something like that, and it could be embarrassing.
So
don't be embarrassed. So many people deal with this type of stuff, and it's so easy for that stuff to happen. Just know that that's going to be the first step in fixing it, is accepting it.
Yeah, I saw a picture on Instagram the other day, and it was one of the 3DMJ coaches. I think it was Alberto Nunez, but he posted a picture of himself, and I think it was like in 2003 or something. So he was at 185 pounds, not very lean, and he said what happened is he had gotten injured and had to like stop training for a little while, like a month or so, maybe a couple months, and so he was so attached to his weight that he kept eating like he was training, as if he were training, but he wasn't. And so he gained quite a bit of fat. And so in this picture, the before picture, it's him looking pretty thick there, pretty soft, more fat than muscle, I'd say, or at least quite a bit of it covering the muscle. And then fast forward, he's got another picture that was, 3 years after, where he had gotten back on the routine. He had adjusted his calories again. And I mean, the obvious improvement, like night and day almost. And so what he was saying is that in that before picture, he had a whole bunch of insecurities about not just the way he looked, but his performance and everything. And that actually ended up being detrimental and stalling him for a good while, because it took a lot longer to get back on the correct track, and then a lot longer before that started bearing any fruit. He actually saw the results of it. And so he said, if you're like me right now in that before picture, just know that nobody has ever told me, oh man, you really need to work on your 2003 pictures. Just keep going, stay on track. So if you're in an embarrassing spot right now, that's fine. It will pass. You just need to keep doing the things that'll move you away from your current state, and ideally don't spend much time doing things that will take you backwards or keep you where you are.
The ego is an interesting phenomena in all of us. Something that, when controlled, can really shift your life, I'd say, in a positive manner. Because you look at, insecurities and fears and doubts and stuff, those are all going to be manufactured by your ego.
Yeah.
When in reality, they don't really matter. But your ego needs that kind of stuff to survive. So if you can rise above your ego and realize that those thoughts aren't real, that's not really you.
Yeah.
You can push it out, and you can start making steps in the right direction. So there's ego lifting and there's ego living. You don't want to do either of them.
No, dude. Okay, I have an example here, and it's not lifting related, so maybe it's relatable to everybody. Okay.
It's about cheese.
No, it's about getting fucking acne on your face, like big nasty acne.
Oh yeah,
you can't do anything about.
Yep. Well, that's just growing up for like 90% of kids.
Called high school.
Yep.
So
it's called getting your ass beat every single day and every single night.
Just how I like it.
Yeah.
Just how I like it. So I don't know. You can, let's say you have a big pimple right in the middle of your forehead or the middle of your chin, even better, because you can't cover that with hair or a hat. So it's
or on your lip, and people say it's herpes.
Oh, yeah. You're going to go out and you're going to be embarrassed that you have this, but guess what? No amount of doubt or any kind of mental gymnastics is going to get rid of the fact that you have a freaking red planet on your face, and it's going to take time and washing your face, dedication to getting rid of it. Sometimes it just takes growing up and getting older, but that's the thing. And that's why I like this analogy here, because let's say you do have that bad posture or the weak lift because you're still, in the beginner stages here. That's something that's going to pass so long as you keep moving forward, but don't let that define you, because you're not that. You're not the big zit on your face. That's just something that you have to deal with right now. It's not a definition of your character or you as a person. So just, the same can be said about your posture. If you have that crazy Quasimodo hunchback Notre Dame posture, then you can fix it, but don't you get embarrassed and say that, start making excuses as to why you have it or justifying it when damn well all is
genetic.
Yeah. Oh, my mom had it, my dad had it, everyone had it. Well, you're not them, and you can do something. So do something.
I just think the more you can further yourself from like any material thing, even your body, like mentally further yourself from it, because that this is like that your body isn't you. This is just this is just what you're in. It's like it's like a hermit crab and the shell.
It's the vessel.
Yes, it's the vessel. And if you can separate yourself from that and everything else, don't think about money and all that other stuff, you can be a lot more clear about what it is that you actually want in your life. So as far as lifting goes, say when you first start out, you have, rounded shoulders and a forward head because you're working on your computer all day long.
Yeah.
Best thing that you can do is objectively accept that is the way you are right now, and realize that you can fix it with hard work and time. Don't make excuses, because like you said, that's not going to get you anywhere, making excuses, other than get you to be my best friend, because I love people who lie and make excuses.
Yeah.
So unless you want that, then just be real with yourself as often as you can, and really stick to your true inner compass on what is going to be right. Don't ignore the extrinsic, and just try every day to get what you want out of life. So whether that be improving your posture for the sake of a more comfortable life, or whether that be you want to learn something, and people, like, say you're a kid and you want to be a cowboy, and everyone tells you that that's stupid, that's not a job anymore. If you really want it bad enough, just go for it. Yeah, go for it.
You can make it a job.
Yeah, well, it still is a job. You can be a cowboy. You just got to go to the right place.
Yeah, right. Learn
Desert
the right
Southwest.
skills.
But just as an example, is that your mind, your ego can really hold you back if you let it.
Yeah, and so many people cling to whatever justifications they have.
That's why I get the face tats.
Dude, it's awesome. Where'd you get that ice cream cone?
Walmart.
Oh, dude. I didn't know they did face tats at Walmart.
Yeah, well, they stopped because of the virus, but they'll get back on it May 15th.
Dude, that's sick. That's sick right there.
Yeah, I am.
Well, I'm going to go stand in line. But no, you have points there, good sir. And I agree 100%. I think that being objective with yourself and realizing, like, hey, you can admit things that are kind of hard to swallow, like tough pills to swallow, and work past it, work through it. Instead of saying, I'm not an asshole. I kick special ed people around and, throw insults. I'm cool. You know that you're lying. It's not cool.
Yeah, you're in reality, if you're doing stuff like that, you're probably a piece of shit.
Yeah, but huge.
Tell yourself what you want to, but people who are more in tune with real life and this reality here are going to see through that.
Yeah.
You can be a lot of people. This happens to lots and lots of people. It's like they live in their own personal little reality, which on one hand, you do have, infinite depth to go inside of your own brain. People don't know what's in there, but at the same time, people can see and make some judgments for themselves. So Bottom line with that is don't be a dick and don't kick special ed people.
Agreed.
Or don't kick anybody, really. Yeah. Unless you're an anime fighter.
You
don't
can kick
anybody.
yourself if you really want.
Yeah,
but
butt
even
kickers.
that's like, yeah, butt kickers. Frankenstein kicks. Have you ever done those?
No, but one of my friends, actually the guy who got the Star Trek shirt for $40, he taught me the goose step.
Damn.
I don't know. He's some marching thing he made up.
Oh, dude, he knows everything.
Yeah, he's so smart.
Love that guy.
Yep.
Hate him though.
Yeah, he freaking jerk, but it's just his ego, man. But it's not even his ego. He's just legitimately better than us.
So it's my ego and your ego.
Yeah, our egos are subservient to his.
Okay, you know where the ego is really not your amigo? In the gym. So you just made a post recently. It can be featured on the Iron Will Collective Instagram.
Follow, like, cyberbully.
Iron Will Collective. Woo! So you just made a post, and it was the Hitchhiker's Guide to Ego Lifting, where you made very many good points. It's actually a whole list of what not to do, but
or what to do if you want to look like a dick.
Yeah, well, exactly. And
leave gains on the table.
That's the thing. I've found myself inadvertently in that spot. So I don't identify with being a dick. I try to be objective with myself and be real. But even with that, all things aside, I've gone into the gym. I've put too much weight on the bar. I've attempted things I shouldn't have, and I got hurt. Or, I thought I looked cool in front of some people who actually mattered nothing to me because I didn't know them. And they probably weren't even looking at me anyway.
That's rule number three of Hitchhiker's Guide to Ego Lifting is everybody's always watching.
Yeah, everybody. Always watching. Well, it's really not the case. And so I shouldn't have done those things. Should have been more real with myself. And that's where your ego gets put in check, and you have to restart on a lift. So I mean, how many times have you restarted on squats? How many times we restarted on like bench pressing and deadlifting?
It's just a natural part of the evolution of a weightlifter. Is what you're going to have to do from time to time, is go back to the drawing board. And not just in weightlifting, probably in other facets of your life this would be the case as well. It's where you just got to go back, reassess, strip the weight off the bar, start from light again, and then work on that
technique,
that technique. But I just want to say really quick that battling the ego, far easier said than done. Just wanted to put that out there. It's because it's like so it's so intertwined with you. It's hard to tell what it is at times, but you just got to realize those signals for it are the ego is the one that wants you to feel that discomfort at the end of the day, that mental discomfort when you have the anguish thinking about the future, and you have that embarrassment thinking about the past, and when that weird driving force that makes you do something that you can't do just to so you look a certain way. Just be aware of that, and that will be the first step, is just being aware.
Yeah, being aware, and then having the berries to stand up to the ego and actually do what you're supposed to, not what you think you should be doing, not what your ego thinks you should be doing. So if you look at, I don't know, say you're getting ready for a squat and you look at the bar and you go, oh my God, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And
that's normal.
Well, if it's legitimate, like let's say you've spent all your time practicing at 185 and here you are, you're going to load 305 on the bar. It's probably not a good idea. Like,
no, you got it.
Yeah, it's all you, bro.
Well, that's the thing too. I think to the berries, it takes the berries to take that step back, and more berries than it takes to have the courage to try a stupid lift.
Yeah,
is to swallow your pride and throw 95 on the bar.
Exactly.
And go for that.
No, it doesn't take much to go on autopilot, get under the bar and attempt something that's just foolish. But it does take a lot more mental and inner strength to look at the bar and go, all right, I'm gonna take some weight off here and work. Because it's like you always say, dude, live to lift another day. Seriously, like that. It's one of the best sayings, because that way, you're thinking about the grand scheme of things. You're thinking about context, not just here right now. Oh man, I'm gonna look so cool, this is gonna be awesome. if you want to lift tomorrow or next week, next month, next year, next decade, then you need to make sure you're thinking about that as well. So
not kill yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And just realize like you'll get there eventually.
Patience.
Now might not be the time.
There are so many admirable qualities that one can instill in themselves over years of training their body. Discipline, dedication, respect, patience. These are all things that will help you everywhere else in your life, but you can learn them in the classroom of the iron.
Dude, and then when you put all those to use, like, doesn't it feel like nut when you finally hit a weight that's been a goal for a really long time?
I wouldn't know. I'm still at 95 for everything.
Dude, okay, you did 135 overhead press. That must have felt like nut.
Those are fake weights, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, it really did. It does to progress at all. I like one rep more than the last session makes me happy. It's just like, all right, cool, we're still going in the right direction. And even if you don't, even if you have a rep less or something, you just got to look at it like, okay, something's up here. Maybe I need more rest. Maybe I need more practice at this weight. Maybe I need to step back and take a few pounds off and then work back up, because the weight on the bar is never going to matter. It's first and foremost about the effort that you're putting into it. So you can be putting in maximum effort, half repping squats with a weight that you could not possibly hit clean. Or you could have a fraction of that weight and use a full range of motion and really reap the benefits, the long-term benefits.
Yeah.
Choice is yours.
No, man, I get pissed off. I search for the nearest either puppy, dolphin, some cute animal. I punch it square in the face, and I quit lifting every single time.
Dude, I guess you could kind of say, like, every time you're done with your lifting for the day, you quit lifting, but then you get back on. It's like, I don't know if you've heard. I've heard it from a lot of people. They're like, I quit smoking cigarettes. I haven't had a cigarette in 2 days. And then they have one again, like, the next day. And it's like, you didn't quit. Like, so, word to the wise.
I quit every day, man.
Smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. Smoke cigarettes. Oh, that reminds me, in high school, I saw a dude doing pull-ups while smoking a cigarette. And I was like,
all right, that's badass. Honestly, that's pretty
cash
sick.
Money right there.
Yeah.
It's got the drip.
Yeah, it really does. That and the gonorrhea. But all right, in all reality, like, as bad as cigarettes are, you see someone lifting weights, smoking cigarettes, that's cool. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, man. That's it's an image for sure.
Yeah, not something. Again, that's a whole ego thing. That would be completely driven by ego. Would be or legitimate nicotine addiction,
like, but a bad one. Really bad.
Yeah. If you can't take a break for your exercise,
dude,
but
I'd rather breathe air during my workout. Like, not.
Wait, you don't want that carbon monoxide?
I mean, maybe.
It's good for the aerobic system.
Yeah. He's doing pull-ups, dude. Like, pull-ups and cigarettes,
dude. I can just imagine how cool this guy is. Like, legitimately cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are running out of time here. Is there anything that you would like to add to close us out today?
No, just kind of going back to the original points on form and technique and why they're so important. It's important for a lot of reasons, but as we discuss here, it's injury prevention. It's the fact that your ego probably wants you to do more because comparison of yourself to others, and that really has no place in a program that is designed to think about things like longevity. If you really want to be doing this for the right reasons, then you should be leaving the ego at the door and starting from where you are and being honest with yourself. Take that objective view, look at any kind of pre-existing conditions you might have that maybe you were unaware of before, and finding baseline for things like posture. I mean, if you can't stand correctly, then you probably can't lift correctly in most cases. So it's really important that you just think of all those things and keep going. You might be a little discouraged at where you are, but the only way to get from where you are to where you want to be is to keep going.
Find some way to enjoy the process. If you're not happy with where you are because you don't feel like you're strong enough, just get that out of here. Because what do you mean strong enough compared to who? You should always look at yourself.
Yesterday.
Compare yourself to yesterday. Exactly. Say, am I stronger? Am I smarter? Am I more in control? Do I have more skill? Am I a better person in some way, shape, or form than I was yesterday? And look at those for your gauge. Don't look at Big Joe down the street, our buddy, because he's going to always be big. He's going to always be way bigger than you. And even if you get to his exact same size, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and he's still going to be bigger than you. So just get that out of your head.
Yep.
Have the knowledge that if you want this to be something that is truly going to benefit you in the way that it is intended to, you're going to need to do it for your whole life. So you're not in a race with anybody. Take it slow, take it controlled, build that foundation, and you will be at a place to look back and really be proud of yourself within a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, it's surprising. You always underestimate what we can do in a long amount of time and overestimate what we can do in a short amount of time. So take that long view and keep on going.
It's Gordy's Law. All right. Well, that's about all we have time for today. Thank you very much for joining us as per usual. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to hear on an upcoming episode, just let us know.
Yeah, and check us out, ironwillcollective.com.
Good night.